Good evening, and welcome back. Tonight we travel beyond mythology, beyond human memory, beyond the creation of worlds, into an age before time itself existed. Get comfortable, turn down the lights, and let your imagination breathe. This is the story of how existence first opened its eyes. Before anything had a name, before thought and breath and sound learned to exist, there was only stillness. Not darkness, not silence, not emptiness, just stillness. A place with no beginning, no end, no questions, no answers. A realm where even the idea of existence had not yet been invented. The stillness was calm, unbroken, absolute, until one day, something that wasn't supposed to happen, happened. A tremor, a soft movement, a vibration so subtle that even the stillness struggled to notice it. That vibration became a pulse. The pulse became a rhythm, and the rhythm became aura. Aura was not a being, not a consciousness, not life. She was simply the first possibility, the first maybe in a place that had never known change. Her first heartbeat fractured the stillness. From that fracture, two forces slipped out. The first was Aeuron, a blinding spark of shimmering light. The second was Noctharis, a soft, endless shadow. Light and shadow floated side by side, unsure of what they were or why they existed. Aeuron stretched outward, curious. Noctharis folded inward, cautious. The more Aeuron expanded, the more the stillness cracked. The more the stillness cracked, the more Noctharis grew. Neither spoke. They simply existed, faintly aware of each other. Two siblings born from the womb of nothing. Aeuron released a wave of brilliance across the void. Unstable sparks of creation flickered in the distance. Noctharis cooled them, calmed them, shaped them. From their collision emerged the great cosmic sea, a vast field of primal energy swirling and glowing. Aeuron touched it. The sea responded, forming luminous waves. His light hummed, and that hum became the first song. The song rippled outward, shaping laws, patterns, spirals. Stars formed, chaotic trembling. Noctharis steadied them, giving form to their wild energy. Together, without words, they created Galaxion, the first spiral of stars. But creation never happens quietly. Their clash released a shockwave that tore open reality. A new presence appeared. Elindra, the first spirit. Neither light nor shadow, but perfect balance. Her presence silenced Aeuron's brilliance and softened Noctharis' darkness. She spoke without words, "You are not alone anymore." And so, the first alliance formed. They forged stars, shaped galaxies, breathed rhythm into the cosmos. For a while, all was peaceful. But at the edge of existence, a tremor appeared. Then another, and a third. Elindra sensed something approaching. Something not born from aura, not shaped by stillness, not part of any cosmic law. The edge of the universe split open as a void deeper than Noctharis' shadow expanded outward. Aeron's light surged. Noctharis darkened. Elindra steadied herself. The rift widened. A new entity unfolded, faceless, voiceless, ancient. Older than stillness, older than possibility. The universe trembled at its presence. Aeuron demanded, "Identify yourself." Noctharis prepared to strike. Elindra braced. The being spoke without sound. "I am the end." 3 words that shook creation. Stars trembled. The cosmic sea rippled. Aeuron stepped back. Elindra's spirit faltered. The end continued. Where there is beginning, I follow. Where there is creation, I arrive. Where there is light and shadow and spirit, I erase. Aeuron unleashed light. The end absorbed it. Noctharis struck with shadow. The end devoured it. Elindra tried to seal the rift. The end tore it open again. The being grew, towering above them, and declared, existence was a mistake. Then it stabbed a spear of void into Galaxion, their first galaxy. Stars shattered. Light died. Shadow lost shape. Elindra screamed. The First Alliance charged. Their clash created a shockwave across the cosmos. Creation versus erasure. Stars burst. Nebulae folded. Space tore open. Elindra fell first, her spirit shattering into countless sparks. Noctharis roared, his darkness swelling. Aeuron released his brightest light, so bright the universe glowed. That glow awakened Aura. No longer a pulse, now a being of pure potential. Aura appeared, freezing the battle. Her voice echoed, "This story is not finished." The end faced her. Aeuron prepared his final strike. Noctharis gathered shadow. Aura whispered, "I will rewrite destiny." Her pulse expanded into a sphere of combined light, shadow, and spirit. The end lunged. The sphere exploded. Everything went white. Stars vanished. Galaxies dissolved. The cosmic sea evaporated. Even stillness collapsed. But one thing survived. Something small. A spark. A seed. A memory. A beginning. Existence opened its eyes again. When the newborn universe was still trembling from its first breath, when the stars Aeuron shaped were flickering like frightened fireflies, when the shadows Noctarius cast were still learning how to stretch, something stirred beyond their reach. It began as a faint tremor at the farthest edge of the cosmic sea, a ripple that even Elindra could not explain. She felt it before she saw it, a strange vibration humming through the currents of creation. Aeuron paused mid-flight, his luminous wings dimming slightly. "Did you feel that?" he whispered to Noctharis. The first shadow narrowed his obsidian eyes. "That was not my doing." Elindra hovered between them, her body woven from silver wind and soft radiance, and for the first time, a flicker of fear touched her ancient gaze. The ripple thickened, darkened, deepened, until the void broke open like cracking glass. A colossal presence stepped through, not born of Aura, not shaped by the pulse that created Aeuron, Noctharis, or Elindra. Something alien, something uninvited. Its form shifted constantly, at times a serpent of stardust, at times a storm of screaming fragments, at times a towering mass of spiraling tendrils. The being had no name, but later epochs would call it Vortheros, the Unshaped. Aeuron burst into full radiance, stars igniting across his limbs. "Who are you?" Vortheros answered without words. Its voice entered their minds directly, colder than the vacuum, heavier than the gravity of newborn suns. "I am what your universe failed to destroy." Noctharis stepped forward, his shadow spreading like ink across the void. "This realm is not yours." The creature's form distorted. It laughed, a sound like tearing fabric. "This realm belongs to whoever consumes it first." Before the first shadow could respond, Vortheros snapped a tendril toward the closest star. The star screamed. An infant sun barely formed and collapsed into ash. Aeuron roared, flinging a sphere of pure light that struck Vortheros' flank, the Uns. It seemed the creature faltered. Aeuron drove his radiance into its core while Noctharis carved through its tendrils. But Vortheros did not bleed. Vortheros consumed. It absorbed Aeuron's light, twisted Noctaris' shadow, and roared so violently that the cosmos flinched. Elindra felt the song of creation falter. The balance was tipping toward destruction. She spread her arms, calling the first harmony, weaving the cosmic threads into a net of invisible force. The net wrapped around Vortheros briefly, slowing its expansion, giving the first light and first shadow a precious breath. "We must seal it," she said. "Kill it," Aeuron growled. "Nothing born from void can be killed," Noctharis warned. but it can be imprisoned. Vortharos shattered the net. Elindra screamed as the backlash hit her, scattering her essence like dust. Aeuron caught her before she faded entirely. Noctharis stretched his shadow wide, covering her until she reformed. The Unshaped turned toward her, sensing weakness. Elendra forced herself upright, her silver eyes blazing. "There is one place," she whispered, "one prison deep enough, dark enough, far enough." Aeuron understood instantly. The abyssal fold. Noctharis tensed. That rift was never meant to be opened. "If we do nothing," Elendra said, "Vortharos will feast on every star, every atom, every dream." Aeuron looked into the raging mass of the Unshaped and felt something unfamiliar, the fear of losing everything he had just created. "Then we open it," he said. The three primordial beings, the first light, the first shadow, the first spirit, joined hands. Their energies collided in a blinding trifold surge. Light, shadow, and harmony twisted together, forming a spiral vortex unlike anything the universe had ever witnessed. Vortharos sensed danger and lunged forward, but a vortex caught it mid-strike. The Unshaped roared, warping violently as it was dragged toward the rift. Tendrils lashed out, striking Aeuron and hurling him across the void. Another struck Noctharis, splitting his shadow body and scattering it across half a galaxy. Elendra alone held the vortex open, her form unraveling, her voice singing the final notes of the first song. "Back to the void that birthed you," she whispered. Vortharos shrieked one last time as the vortex consumed it entirely. Then the rift snapped shut, taking with it the creature and a vast section of space that vanished like smoke. Silence fell. Aeuron struggled back, his light flickering. Noctharis reformed slowly from drifting shards of darkness. Elendra hovered weakly, her energy thin and trembling. "We did it," Aeuron whispered. "But at what cost?" Noctharis murmured. Elendra gazed toward the place where the rift had closed. "The abyssal fold holds it, for now." But her voice trembled. Vortharos was not killed, only caged. "We must rebuild what we lost." Noctharis nodded, gathering the torn shadows, "and prepare for what may return." Elendra looked into the newborn galaxies, so fragile, so bright, so temporary. "The universe survived its first enemy," she whispered, "but it will not be its last." And far beyond where even their senses could reach, in the deepest silence imaginable, the sealed prison trembled, just once. When Aeuron returned to the heart of the young cosmos, the ancient silence welcomed him like a kingdom waiting for its rightful king. The stars he had forged earlier now pulsed with steadier light, like children who had finally learned to breathe. Yet something was wrong. A cold ripple moved through the cosmic fabric, slow, deliberate, alive. Aeuron paused. The light around him dimmed, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Then he saw it. A fissure appearing in the distance, stretching like a wound across the starlit void. Nothingness spilled out of it, the pure absence of existence, darker than shadow, older than time. Aeuron narrowed his gaze. This was not the natural darkness of space. This was hunger. The void twisted, swirling like ink dropped in clear water, forming into a shape that almost resembled a being, but never settled long enough to become one. Aeuron stepped forward, his voice steady. "You are not born of this universe. Why are you here?" The void rippled in. Aeuron lifted his hand, summoning a blaze of radiant fire. "This realm is not yours." The void shrank back, but not out of fear, out of calculation. It drifted away, seeping into the spaces between starlight until it faded entirely. Aeuron knew it had not retreated. It had hidden, and it would return. He clenched his fist, extinguishing the flame. The universe was too young, too fragile to face a threat like this. He needed to strengthen its foundations. He soared across the cosmic seas, gathering stardust and weaving it into colossal spheres. Each sphere pulsed with its own heartbeat, a forming world. He shaped mountains with a single gesture, carved oceans with a silent thought, and breathed winds across empty skies. But even as these worlds formed, he could sense the void lingering behind every act of creation, like a shadow pursuing a flame. On one world, still molten and unsteady beneath its new crust, Aeuron pressed his palm to the surface. The planet calmed instantly, its trembling. Planet's core, igniting something ancient, something that would one day awaken. As he rose into the sky, a distant sound echoed through the cosmos. Not a roar, not a scream. Something far more terrifying. A heartbeat. Slow, rhythmic, growing stronger. It did not belong to any world, star, or creature Aeuron had shaped. It belonged to the void. He spun sharply. Across the universe, stars flickered and dimmed for a heartbeat. Then the sound came again. Thump, thump. The void was forming a heart, a being, a presence that would soon stand opposite him. "So, you intend to manifest," Aeuron whispered. "You intend to become my equal." But deep within himself, he knew this was not equality. It was opposition. The universe had its guardian. Now the void wanted one too. Aeuron summoned a river of light around him, shaping it into an armor of cosmic fire. The stars responded to his call, aligning themselves like sentinels across the heavens. The universe was young, but not helpless. Still, he felt a heaviness in the air, an omen of what was coming. The void's heartbeat grew louder, faster, and then, for the first time, something answered it. From the depths of creation came a second heartbeat, one Aeuron had not made consciously. It pulsed from a far corner of the cosmos, from a world he had touched only briefly. His eyes widened. Impossible. But there it was, steady, brave, alive. Something was awakening. Someone. Aeuron streaked across the newborn universe like a river of living fire, following the distant heartbeat that was not his own. It pulsed from the farthest edge of creation, from a region he had barely touched while forming the early worlds. With every beat he drew closer. The stars around him vibrated, responding instinctively, as if acknowledging a presence rising to meet the cosmos. When he arrived, he found a small, fragile world, dusty, barren, quiet, as if waiting for a destiny it did not yet understand. Aeuron descended gently, the ground trembling beneath his presence. He pressed his hand against the surface, feeling the rhythm echo through the stone like a whisper of life, buried deep within the planet's core. "Who are you?" he whispered. The ground shivered under his fingers. A flicker of light pushed through the soil, weak, hesitant. Then it vanished. Aeuron stepped back. The planet was not merely responding, it was calling. Something inside it sought the surface, sought existence. But it was not ready yet. As he contemplated the mystery, the void's heartbeat boomed again across the stars. Louder, closer, more complete. Aeuron knew he had little time left. He rose into the sky, searching the cosmos for the forming enemy. A dark storm rippled across the void, pulling in starlight, consuming warmth. Slowly, a shape materialized at its center, a silhouette carved from pure nothingness. Eyes formed first, hollow rings of darkness that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Then came limbs, long and shifting, as if sculpted from smoke. The being stood tall, still unfinished, but undeniably alive. A voice seeped out of it, cold and ancient. Creation takes shape. So must destruction. Aeuron hovered before it, his armor of cosmic fire burning brighter. This universe is not yours. Leave it. The void being tilted its head, darkness swirling around its form. I am not here to steal it. I am here because you created me. Aeron's expression hardened. I created stars, worlds, light. I did not create you. A sound like cracking stone echoed through the void. The being's voice deepened. Every act of creation casts a shadow. I am that shadow. The void being lifted its hand. The space around it twisted, collapsing inward like a dying star. Aeuron unleashed a surge of radiant fire, stabilizing the collapsing space before it shattered. The void being stepped back, observing him. You are strong, but strength alone cannot silence what you began. Aeuron's eyes flickered with something rare, doubt. Had his act of creating a universe truly given birth to its opposite? He steadied himself. I will not allow you to consume what I built. The void being smiled, not with lips, but with a distortion of its form. You misunderstand. I do not wish to consume all of it. Only half. Aeuron's gaze sharpened. Why? The void being spread its shifting arms. Balance. Aeuron summoned a blazing spear of pure light. There will be no balance with your corruption. The void being's voice trembled with amusement. Then there will be war. As the creature dissolved into smoke and vanished, Aeuron sensed a wave of distortion ripple across the cosmos. He traveled again to the small world where the mysterious heartbeat pulsed. When he arrived, the planet shook violently. Cracks split the ground. A blinding pillar of light erupted from the core, spiraling into the sky. Aeuron shielded his eyes. The light began taking form. Limbs, a shape, a presence. A being was rising from the world's heart. Aeuron watched in awe. Unlike the void creature, this form was radiant, warm, alive. When the light finally faded, a figure hovered above the cracked surface, humanoid, but shimmering like starlight woven into flesh. Their eyes opened slowly, glowing with newborn innocence. They looked at Aeuron. Who am I? Aeron's voice softened. You are creation's answer. The universe shifted around them, sensing the presence of something new and something destined. The void being had been born from shadow. This one had risen from light, and for the first time, Aeuron understood the coming war would not be his alone to fight. Creation had birthed a champion. The newborn being floated above the trembling planet, its starlit body flickering with unstable light, as if it were still learning how to hold itself together. Aeuron approached slowly, careful not to overwhelm the fragile consciousness still forming behind those glowing eyes. Listen to me, Aeuron said gently. You were born because the universe needed you. The being tilted their head, confused. Needed me? Aeuron nodded. A shadow has risen from my creation, a force of hunger, of unmaking. You are the answer to that shadow. The being's light dimmed briefly as confusion rippled through them. What am I supposed to do? Aeuron placed a hand over the being's chest, where a soft golden heartbeat pulsed. Grow, he said. Understand yourself. Strength will come. Before the being could speak again, a wave of darkness spread across the sky like spilled ink. The void being materialized. Its shifting form, taller and more defined than before, its heartbeat thundered through the heavens. The new being flinched, instinctively drawing closer to Aeuron. The void being's hollow voice echoed across the cosmos. So, creation has birthed the child, its empty eyes focused on the glowing figure. You are incomplete, you will break. The being trembled as if the words themselves were knives. Aeuron stepped forward, summoning a blazing wall of light that separated them. "You will not touch them." The void being extended a tendril of darkness, brushing the barrier. The light sizzled and cracked. "This universe cannot hold the both of us," it said calmly. "One of us will claim the destiny of existence." Aeuron roared, pushing the wall outward with an explosion of radiance. The void being dissolved into smoke and vanished, leaving behind a quiet that felt more dangerous than any attack. The newborn being clutched their chest. "Why does its presence hurt me?" Aeuron turned toward them, troubled. "Because you are opposites," he said. "You were shaped from the core of a world, life woven into form. It was shaped from absence. Your existences challenge each other." The being stared at their trembling hands. "If I meant to stop it, why do I feel so weak?" Aeuron touched their forehead. "Because you have only lived for moments. You must learn. Come." He lifted the being into the sky. Together, they traveled through constellations, crossing nebulae that shimmered like cosmic oceans. Aeuron forged a sphere of pure light around them, a sanctuary suspended beyond the reach of darkness. Inside, he began teaching. He showed the being how to mold starlight, how to steady their unstable form, how to awaken the ancient power sleeping within their chest. Days passed. Then, weeks. The being learned faster than Aeuron expected. They shaped orbs of radiant fire. They calmed storms raging across young worlds. They even learned to sense the void's presence far across the universe. But with every lesson, the void being grew stronger too. Its attacks became more frequent. Stars imploded, worlds cracked, nebulae withered. One day during training, the being suddenly collapsed, clutching their head. "It's calling me," they whispered. "The darkness, the heartbeat, it wants me to come." Aeuron knelt beside them. "Ignore it. Focus." "I can't," the being cried. "It knows my thoughts. It sees my fears." Aeuron grabbed their hands. "Listen to me," he said, voice firm. "You are not its reflection. You are not its prey. You are creation's guardian." The being stared at him, breathing hard. Slowly their glow steadied. "Then I want to fight," they whispered. Aeuron shook his head. Not yet, but the universe had grown impatient. A sudden shattering roar echoed across creation. Aeuron and the being looked toward the cosmic horizon. A star was collapsing, not naturally, but violently, as if crushed by a giant, unseen hand. Darkness spread outward like rippling poison. The void being appeared at the center of the destruction, now fully formed, towering, monstrous, pulsing with the power of 1,000 devoured suns. Its voice shook the heavens. "Aeuron, bring me the child. The balance must be claimed." The being trembled with fury. "I am not yours." Aeuron stepped in front of them. "Stay behind me." The void being extended its arm. An entire nebula bent toward its grip. "Decide, Aeuron. Surrender the child, or watch your universe die." Aeuron summoned all the stars around him. They aligned behind him like an army of burning soldiers. "You want a war?" he thundered. "Then face creation itself." The void being smiled with its impossible, shifting form. "So be it." And the first clash of creation and void tore through the heavens with a force no mortal world could ever imagine. Aeuron charged forward, wielding the light of 100 stars, his body blazing like a newborn sun. The void being surged to meet him, its form shifting into a storm of shadows, sharper than blades. When they collided, the universe shook. Entire galaxies trembled. Nebulae burst apart like scattered dust. The newborn being watched from afar, their heart pounding with a fear they had never known. Aeuron hurled waves of shimmering energy, but the void being devoured them, its body swelling with stolen light. It struck back with tendrils of darkness, that coiled around Aeuron's limbs, tightening with crushing force. Aeuron roared and burst free, but each escape weakened him. "You cannot win," the Void Being growled. "I am the hunger at the edge of everything. I existed before your light." Aeuron answered with a brilliant blast that carved through darkness. "Light existed the moment creation dared to dream, and I am that dream." Their powers clashed again. The shockwave shattered a nearby star. The newborn being flinched as its dying light washed over them. Aeuron staggered. The Void Being lunged, piercing him with a spear of darkness. Aeuron gasped, falling to one knee. Light leaked from his body like blood. "Aeuron," the newborn being cried, rushing forward. But Aeuron raised a trembling hand. "Stay back," he shouted. "You are not ready." The Void Being laughed, a hollow echo rippling through cosmic dust. "Let the child come. I will break them first." The newborn being felt something ignite within their core. Fear, rage, sorrow, all merging into a roaring fire. They stepped forward, and their entire body glowed with a fierce, rising radiance. "I'm not afraid of you," they said, though their voice trembled. The Void Being tilted its monstrous head. "You should be. You are my opposite, my undoing, but also my missing half." The newborn froze. "What do you mean?" The Void Being's voice grew strangely calm. "We were formed together. When this universe was born, creation and destruction emerged as one. But Aeuron separated us. He feared what we could become if we stayed united. Aeuron forced himself upright, pain etched into his light. Do not listen, it twists truth into poison." But the Void Being continued, its words sliding into the newborn's thoughts like whispers of destiny. "I do not seek to end you. I seek to join with you. With our union, we become balance. We become whole. If you join with it, you won't exist anymore. It will consume you." The Void Being extended a hand, "Or we will transcend both creation and destruction." A harmony Aeuron fears because he wants control. The newborn stepped backward, overwhelmed by the weight of truth and lies woven together. Aeuron, gathering the last of his strength, hurled himself at the Void Being with a roar. "Stay away from them." The Void Being caught Aeuron mid-strike, tightening its grip. Gasping, as a glowing mark pulsed over their heart, a symbol they had never seen before. Aeuron stared at it in shock. "No, this cannot be." The Void Being rose slowly, its form trembling. "It has awakened." "What awakened?" the newborn whispered. Aeron's voice was grave. "The origin mark. The first power. The one that shaped the cosmos before even I existed." The Void Being stepped closer, not in aggression, but in awe. "You are not my opposite," it said softly. "You are my creator." The newborn's breath caught. "I created you?" The Void Being nodded. "You are the source of both light and darkness. We are fragments of your first thought." Aeuron bowed his head. "Forgive me," he whispered. "I hid the truth to protect the universe." The newborn felt a storm inside them. Memories not yet formed. Power not yet controlled. Destiny far larger than the body they inhabited. "If I created you both," they said quietly, "then I should be able to stop this war." The Void Being and Aeuron exchanged uneasy glances. "How?" Aeuron asked. The newborn rose into the air. Their heartbeat deepened, echoing across galaxies. "By becoming whole again." They extended their hands, one toward Aeuron, one toward the Void Being. Light poured from one palm, darkness from the other, twining together without conflict. Aeuron trembled. "If you unite us, you may lose yourself." The Void Being whispered, "Or you may become something beyond." all prophecy. The newborn closed their eyes. I will take that risk. The universe deserves peace. The void being reached out first. Aeuron hesitated, then placed his hand atop theirs. Light and shadow surged together. The universe screamed and sang at once. Stars flickered, time stuttered. Reality stretched like molten glass. And at the center of it all, the newborn, being absorbed both forces. Their body dissolved into pure energy, bright as creation, deep as the void. When the light faded, Aeuron and the void being were gone. In their place stood a single new entity, taller, radiant, calm. Not light, not shadow. Something perfectly balanced. They opened their eyes, and galaxies bloomed in their gaze. I am Aetherion, the being said, their voice echoing through every corner of existence. The first, the last, the balance. And with a single breath, they restored the stars, healed the broken worlds, and silenced the ancient war forever. The universe, for the first time since its birth, exhaled in peace. The age of conflict ended. A new era began. Aetherion turned toward the endless sky and whispered, "Let there be harmony." The universe drifted in silence after Aetherion's awakening, as though reality itself held its breath. Stars glimmered more brightly, galaxies spun with newfound grace, and cosmic winds settled into soothing harmony. Yet beneath this perfect calm, something ancient stirred, a remnant of the past, waiting in the shadows of existence. Aetherion hovered in the heart of the restored starfield, their new form pulsing with intertwined light and darkness. Power hummed within them, deeper than any star's core, older than any cosmic memory. Feeling the weight of solitude, Aetherion murmured, "I have balance, but balance without guidance is only silence." They knew the universe needed more than equilibrium. It needed guardians. The universe drifted in silence after Aetherion's awakening, as though reality itself held its breath. Stars glimmered more brightly, galaxies spun with newfound grace, and cosmic winds settled into soothing harmony. Yet beneath this perfect calm, something ancient stirred, a remnant of the past, waiting in the shadows of existence. Aetherion hovered in the heart of the restored starfield, their new form pulsing with intertwined light and darkness. Power hummed within them, deeper than any star's core, older than any cosmic memory. Feeling the weight of solitude, Aetherion murmured, "I have balance, but balance without guidance is only silence." They knew the universe needed more than equilibrium. It needed guardians. Something still felt incomplete, as the universe needed guides, not just protectors. Aetherion placed a hand over their heart, drawing a fragment of their own origin flame. The spark awakened during the cosmic battle. They gently molded it, wishing for wisdom. The flame blossomed into a smaller figure whose silver body shifted like living reflections. "You are Selûne, guardian of knowledge, keeper of memory. You will preserve the truth of creation." Selûne tilted their head and challenged Aetherion with an unexpected question. "Then tell me, who were you before you became Aetherion?" Aetherion hesitated, confessing, "I don't remember everything." Selûne softly replied, "Then I will help you remember." Before Aetherion could respond, the universe trembled. A faint, nearly invisible, but unmistakable ripple. Lumera stepped forward, asking, "What is that disturbance?" Aetherion turned toward the edge of existence, where a faint crack glimmered in the fabric of space. "I restored the stars," Aetherion said slowly, "but some wounds run deeper than I realized." Kaelor asked if it was an enemy. "Not an enemy," Aetherion answered. But a remnant, something left from the war, something that did not vanish when Aeuron and the void being were absorbed. Saloon sensed something, but Aetherion whispered that the disturbance was a will, a consciousness untouched by creation, shadow, or balance, a presence that had watched everything unfold and waited for the perfect moment. Aetherion faced their guardians. Prepare yourselves, the age of harmony has begun, but not all forces welcome balance. From the cosmic fracture, a whisper emerged, soft, cold, and ancient. I have waited for you, Aetherion. And something in the darkness awakened. Would you like me to summarize these 5 sections into a single, shorter summary? Aetherion drifted through the newborn calm of the universe, feeling the deep rhythms of existence pulse beneath every star. Their presence alone stabilized entire clusters, and the guardians they created watched over galaxies like silent sentinels. Yet even with the balance restored, Aetherion sensed something beneath the surface, something old, hidden, waiting. In the farthest edge of the cosmos, beyond even the veil of unformed reality, the first tremor came. Aetherion paused mid-flight, their senses tightening. It wasn't darkness or light. It wasn't chaos or creation. It was silence. A silence so absolute it felt unnatural. No star hummed, no particle moved, no time flowed. Aetherion turned toward it, their cosmic aura rippling. Another void? They whispered. But no, this was different. The Void-born devoured light. This force devoured existence itself. Aetherion spread their awareness further and suddenly felt a pull, faint but deliberate. Something beyond the horizon of reality calling to them. They crossed galaxies in moments, their forms streaking like a silver comet, until they reached a region of cold so profound, even photons hesitated to move. The Guardians followed at a distance, unsure whether to intervene. "Stay back," Aetherion commanded gently. "This place was not meant for you." They stepped forward, the silence thickening like a physical barrier. Then they saw it, an enormous fracture hanging in the cosmic tapestry, stretching thousands of light years wide, a crack in existence itself. "Impossible," Aetherion murmured. The crack pulsed once, like a heartbeat, and then whispers, thousands of voices layered over one another, speaking without sound. Aetherion strained to listen. Not language, not thought, memory. Ancient memory. Before the first universe, before Aetherion's awakening. "You hear us," the whispers breathed. "We who were lost, we who were unmade, we who hunger for form." Aetherion's aura flared. "Who are you?" The voices answered as one. "We are the Echoes." The name vibrated through the stars. Aetherion felt a shiver inside their core. Echoes of what? The crack widened, spiderwebbing across space. Echoes of the universes that came before yours. Echoes of realities abandoned, destroyed, forgotten. You are the first being of this creation, but not the first to exist. For a moment, Aetherion felt time tilt. Aetherion clutched their chest where the origin mark pulsed. "If you truly came before my creation, then why do you seek me?" The whispers swirled like a cold hurricane. "Because you are the one who can free us." The crack throbbed with power. Fragments of broken worlds floated inside it. Cities without people, stars without light, memories without owners. "Release us," the echoes pleaded, "so we may live again." Aetherion shook their head. If I open this fissure, the universe may collapse. The whispers deepened. Then reshape it. You are balance. You are origin. Let us through. Aetherion stepped back. I cannot. The fissure snapped violently, sending shockwaves across several galaxies. Stars flickered, planets trembled. You will open, the echoes growled, or we will break the boundary ourselves. Aetherion felt anger rise within them. You threaten existence. If I must fight you, I will. The crack exploded outward. A wave of white emptiness surged into the universe. Enough, Aetherion roared, slamming their palms together. A barrier of luminous energy formed, holding the emptiness back, but the emptiness pressed harder. Then, the origin mark on their chest glowed brighter than ever before. Energy exploded from Aetherion's body, sealing the crack halfway. The echoes shrieked. You dare deny us! Aetherion's voice echoed across galaxies. This universe is under my protection, and I will not allow its destruction. The echoes fell silent. Then they spoke one final, chilling sentence. We will return, Origin Child, and when we do, even you will not stop us. The fissure dimmed, shrinking but not vanishing. Aetherion floated before it, breathing hard. The Guardians approached quietly. What now? One whispered. Aetherion stared into the fading crack, their expression firm but unsettled. Now, they said slowly, we prepare. And in the depths of the sealed fissure, something ancient stirred. The universe trembled long after the fissure dimmed. Stars flickered nervously, as if repeating the memory of the echo's screams. Entire constellations whispered warnings through cosmic winds. Aetherion floated in the quiet aftermath, watching the sealed crack pulse faintly like a sleeping heartbeat. It was contained, but not defeated. They will return, Aetherion murmured. And next time, they may not be so patient. The Guardians stood behind them, restless and uneasy. One stepped forward, Luminara, forged from the first rays of post-war starlight. Aetherion, she said softly, what exactly were those voices? Aetherion didn't turn. Lives that once existed, realities erased, fragments of universes that came before ours. The Guardians exchanged tense glances. Another Guardian, Valor, asked, how can universes exist before creation? Aetherion closed their eyes. Creation is not a single moment. It is a cycle. Before our universe took form, others rose and fell. Their remnants became the echoes. Luminara's voice shook. Can they destroy us? If unleashed, Aetherion said, they can devour everything. Silence spread among the Guardians. The enormity of the threat weighed on them like a black star. Finally, Valor asked, what must we do? Aetherion looked at the sealed fissure. Prepare for a war unlike any ever fought. They descended to the celestial citadel, a magnificent structure orbiting the core star of the universe. Made of crystallized time and balanced energy, it was the heart of Aetherion's watchful order. The Guardians gathered inside the grand chamber as Aetherion addressed them. The echoes are not a single being. They are a collective force, an army of forgotten realities. To stop them, we must strengthen the universe itself. Luminara frowned. Strengthen the universe? Aetherion raised their hand, and the chamber filled with a shimmering projection of the cosmic web. Every star, every planet, every thread of existence. The echoes attack through cracks between realities. We must reinforce the cosmic fabric so no new fissure can form. Valor asked, "Can we do that?" Aetherion nodded. Together. They extended their hands, channeling light, shadow, gravity, and energy into the cosmic map. Threads glowed brighter, weaving thicker patterns of stability. But as they worked, Aetherion felt a jolt, like something resisting their touch. A knot in existence, a dead zone, a place where reality refused to respond. Aetherion said, "Something sleeps there." The Guardians felt cold ripple over them. Aetherion lowered the projection. This expanse may be connected to the echoes. If they awakened once, they may try again from inside this emptiness. Luminara swallowed. "Then we must go there." Aetherion nodded. "Prepare yourselves. What lies within may predate even me." Within hours, the Guardians assembled near the edge of the silent expanse. The closer they flew, the more the universe dimmed. Stars behind them grew faint. Sound, light, and time themselves dulled. The expanse was not darkness, it was absence. Aetherion stepped forward first, their aura illuminating a small patch of the void. "Stay close," they instructed. The Guardians followed, their lights flickering like trembling candles. As they drifted deeper, the void thickened. It felt alive, watching, listening, waiting. Valor whispered, "This place, it rejects us." Aetherion slowed, sensing a foreign vibration pulsing through the emptiness, like a heartbeat buried beneath stone. "There," Aetherion said, pointing toward a floating mass ahead. A colossal structure emerged, an ancient monolith taller than planets, covered in symbols older than language. Aetherion approached cautiously. "I don't recognize this," they whispered. "Not even in my earliest memories." The monolith vibrated, once, sending a shockwave through the expanse. Aetherion and the Guardians steadied themselves as glowing inscriptions appeared across its surface. Luminara read the runes aloud, voice trembling. "Born before creation, sealed beyond destruction, the first memory." Aetherion felt the origin mark burn on their chest. "This is a relic of the universe before ours," they murmured. "A memory left behind, or a warning." Suddenly, the monolith's center split open, revealing a swirling vortex of pale silver mist. A voice, ancient and layered beyond comprehension, filled the expanse. "Origin child, you finally come." Aetherion's eyes widened. "Who speaks?" The voice rumbled. "I am the Archivist, the keeper of all forgotten universes." The Guardians stepped back. Aetherion remained firm. "The echoes attacked this universe," they said. "Why?" The Archivist answered, "Because they believe you can restore what was lost. They seek rebirth. By devouring existence," Aetherion growled. "Balance is not annihilation." The mist swirled faster. The echoes act without reason. Their hunger is instinct, but there is something far worse than them. A chill coursed through Aetherion. "Worse?" The Archivist responded. "The one who destroyed the universes before yours. The true architect of the echo's agony." Aetherion's voice shook. "Who?" The Archivist's answer made the expanse tremble. "The Obliterator." The Guardians gasped. Aetherion stepped closer. "Is it alive?" The Archivist replied, "It has slept for eons. But your awakening." As stirred it, Aetherion's blood ran cold. "Where is it now?" The Archivist slowly pointed deeper into the expanse. "Here." The void behind the monolith shuddered. Aetherion felt a massive presence, ancient, monstrous, awakening. The true enemy had opened its eyes. As the last echoes of the archivist's warning faded into the cosmic wilderness, Aetherion drifted through the shimmering corridors of the silent expanse. The stars around them flickered like nervous eyes, as if the universe itself sensed a storm approaching. The archivist's voice still pulsed in Aetherion's mind. The Obliterator is not merely a threat. He is the end of endings. Aetherion clenched their fists, feeling the weight of every galaxy trembling within their core. They had faced darkness, chaos, and ancient remnants of unseen forces, but something about the Obliterator felt different. Older than creation, colder than void. Aetherion moved deeper into the expanse where light decayed into dust. Each step forward felt like walking through forgotten memories of the cosmos. Suddenly, the darkness ahead rippled, bending like a curtain caught in a silent wind. Aetherion's breath tightened. The fabric of reality peeled open, revealing a vast chamber of swirling darkness. In its center floated a massive crystalline monolith, cracked and bleeding trails of shattered time. The monolith's fractures glowed faintly, each pulse sending tremors across dimensions. "This is his seal," Aetherion murmured. Before they could reach it, a wave of pressure slammed outward, forcing them back. The monolith's cracks widened as something inside twisted awake. Aetherion steadied themselves, summoning light around their body. But then, everything went still. A silence so deep it seemed to swallow thought. Aetherion's heart pulsed harder. From the monolith's central crack, a pair of eyes opened, cold, silver, and ancient. A voice crawled across Aetherion's mind like a razor dipped in ice. "So, the balance finally stands before me." The monolith shattered. Darkness exploded outward, but Aetherion shielded themselves with a sphere of pure equilibrium. As the smoke cleared, a towering figure emerged, a being taller than nebulae, wrapped in armor forged from ruined universes. Each step he took left cracks in space itself, as if reality struggled to hold his weight. His face was carved from void, emotionless, yet terrifyingly aware. Aetherion whispered, "Obliterator." The being tilted his head. "I have been called many names across collapsing cycles, but this one will suffice." Aetherion strengthened their stance. "Your time is over. I will not allow you to destroy this universe." Obliterator chuckled, a sound like dying stars collapsing into themselves. "Allow? Little Keeper, I do not destroy out of choice. I destroy because it is what the universe demands." Aetherion frowned. "Lies. You feed on worlds to increase your power." The Obliterator stepped closer, his voice rumbling like thunder trapped in stone. "Balance is an illusion. Creation births chaos. Chaos births suffering. My purpose is mercy, endings that prevent eternal decay." Aetherion raised their hand. "The universe doesn't need endings. It needs harmony." Obliterator's eyes narrowed. "Harmony is stagnation. You are young, but you will learn." Without warning, Obliterator thrust his hand forward. Space bent, collapsing into a spear of compressed darkness. Aetherion reacted instantly, forming a shield of intertwined light and shadow. The spear clashed against it, sending shockwaves rippling across galaxies. Aetherion slid back, feeling the force reverberate through their core. Obliterator stepped through the blast, unbothered. "You wield balance, but you lack understanding. Let me educate you." He swung his arm, tearing a rift through reality. Aetherion dodged just in time, the rift slicing apart a cluster of stars behind them. Aetherion countered with a beam of creation, but Obliterator absorbed it into his palm and crushed it like fragile glass. Your power is impressive, but incomplete. Aetherion gritted their teeth. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to stop you. They unleashed a spiral of fused light darkness, swirling like a cosmic hurricane. Obliterator raised one arm, the attack splashing off him as if hitting an impenetrable mountain. He lunged forward, striking Aetherion's chest with a blow that sent them flying across the expanse. Aetherion hit a broken fragment of nebula and gasped, pain radiating through their body. Obliterator approached slowly, each step cracking the void beneath him. You are a newborn, trying to fight the embodiment of eras. Aetherion forced themselves up, sparks of white and black flickering around them. Then I'll learn faster. They thrust both hands outward, releasing a shockwave of pure equilibrium. Time halted for a moment. Stars paused mid-flicker. The wave slammed into Obliterator, pushing him back several steps, the first sign of struggle he had shown. He looked down at the scorched mark on his armor. Interesting, Aetherion exhaled, trembling. Obliterator's voice deepened. You carry a power the universe has not seen in countless cycles. Perhaps you are worthy of witnessing what true endings look like. He raised both arms. The silent expanse quaked. Far in the distance, a galaxy shattered into dust, without him even touching it. Aetherion's eyes widened. Stop! Obliterator lowered his arms. This is only the beginning. And then he vanished, leaving Aetherion alone in the trembling void, shaken by the realization that they had just faced only a fraction of his full power. The true war had finally begun. As the last echoes of the Archivist's warning faded into the cosmic wilderness, Aetherion drifted through the shimmering corridors of the silent expanse. The stars around them flickered like nervous eyes, as if the universe itself sensed the storm approaching. The Archivist's voice still pulsed in Aetherion's mind. The Obliterator is not merely a threat. He is the end of endings. Aetherion clenched their fists, feeling the weight of every galaxy trembling within their core. They had faced darkness, chaos, and ancient remnants of unseen forces, but something about the Obliterator felt different. Older than creation, colder than void. Aetherion looked up as a ripple shimmered across the nearby stars. A whisper drifted through the void, soft but familiar. You're trying too hard. Aetherion turned sharply. A ghostly silhouette formed from drifting starlight. The Archivist, not physically present, but a projection of ancient memory. Aetherion bowed their head. I failed. I couldn't stop him. The Archivist smiled faintly. No one has ever stopped the Obliterator on their first encounter. Not even the first stars. Aetherion's glow dimmed. Then how do I stand a chance? The Archivist gestured to the trembling light around them. You believe your power comes from the parts you inherited, but your true strength lies in the balance only you can create. Light and darkness are not separate forces in you. They are one. You must learn to wield them as a single breath. Aetherion frowned. How? The Archivist's form brightened. By listening. Suddenly, the expanse around them transformed. Reality bent into a vast sphere of swirling energy. Countless threads of light and shadow appeared, drifting around Aetherion like celestial rivers. Each thread pulsed with emotion: fear, hope, rage, compassion, sorrow, serenity. Aetherion reached out, touching one. A burst of memories flooded through them. The birth of stars, the deaths of worlds, the cries of forgotten beings. The archivist's voice echoed, "The universe speaks in every moment. To control balance, you must feel everything without drowning in it." Aetherion steadied themselves, breathing slowly as they reached toward the swirling streams. One by one, the threads responded, aligning around them. Light and darkness intertwined, growing more harmonious with each breath. For the first time, Aetherion felt a deeper connection, not just to power, but to existence itself. They whispered, "I understand." But within the harmony, one thread pulsed violently, chaotic, unstable, radiating raw destruction. Aetherion touched it. Instantly, they saw visions, universes collapsing, galaxies devoured, stars screaming as they imploded. The Obliterator's shadow loomed over it all. Aetherion recoiled. This is his power. The Archivist nodded. Yes, and to defeat him you must face the truth he embodies. Aetherion hesitated. Destruction? No, the Archivist said gently. Endings. Every cycle has one. You cannot erase that truth. But you can choose how the cycle ends. Aetherion's eyes widened. The Archivist continued. Obliterator sees endings as final. But balance allows endings to become beginnings. Aetherion looked at the destructive thread again, this time without fear. Slowly they reached out and took hold of it. The chaotic energy surged, trying to overwhelm them, but Aetherion held firm. Light and darkness from within their core wrapped around the destructive thread, tempering it, reshaping it. The energy calmed. Aetherion exhaled, the air trembling around them. I can control it. The Archivist's smile grew brighter. Good, you are beginning to understand what Aetherion truly means. Suddenly, the expanse shook violently. Aetherion looked up as a tear in space ripped open above them. A wave of black fire roared through the breach, spiraling outward and consuming distant stars. Aetherion shielded themselves, eyes narrowing. Obliterator? But the energy was different, wilder, more chaotic. The Archivist's expression darkened. No, something else has awakened because he has returned. A second tear split open, then a third. Aetherion felt the universe ripple around them like a trembling heartbeat. What's happening? The Archivist's voice turned grave. Obliterator's presence has destabilized the cosmic cycle. Ancient forces that should remain sleeping are stirring once more. The longer he exists in this realm, the more the fabric of creation unravels. Aetherion's pulse quickened. Then I have to face him again. The Archivist shook their head. Not yet. First, you must awaken the rest of the origin power. Only then can you confront him without losing yourself. Aetherion looked toward the spreading tears in reality. The universe was crying out for help. They lifted their hand, light and shadow, swirling in perfect harmony. Show me what I need to do. The Archivist's projection stepped back, fading into the starlight. Then follow the call of the origin. It will lead you to the next truth. As the expanse trembled again, Aetherion launched forward, racing toward the growing collapse, determined to unlock the power that could save everything. The true test of balance had begun. Aetherion followed the pull of the origin like a silent drumbeat, echoing through existence. Each pulse drew them farther from familiar stars and into regions of space no cosmic map had ever marked. The light around them thinned, replaced by a soft, colorless glow that felt neither warm nor cold. Here, time itself moved unevenly, stretching and folding like breath held too long. Aetherion sensed they were approaching something ancient, older than the first stars, older than the archivist's records. Ahead, space curved inward, forming a vast circular horizon. At its center floated a colossal structure resembling a shattered ring, fragments suspended in perfect stillness. Symbols glowed along its broken edges, shifting between light and darkness with every heartbeat. Aetherion slowed, awe washing over them. "The Origin Gate," they whispered, recognizing it from fragments of half-forgotten memory. As Aetherion approached, the symbols flared brighter. A voice resonated, not spoken aloud, but Aetherion extended both hands, allowing light and shadow to flow together freely. The symbols responded, rearranging themselves into a seamless pattern. The shattered ring began to rotate, its fragments aligning, as if time itself were being rewound. With a low, resonant hum, the gate opened. Aetherion stepped through. Instantly, they were no longer in space. They stood upon a vast plain of luminous stone, stretching endlessly in all directions. Above, there was no sky, only a swirling ocean of energy, flowing in slow, deliberate currents. At the center of the plain rose 3 towering pillars, each carved with countless runes. One glowed with pure light. One absorbed all illumination, cloaked in shadow. The third shimmered with both, constantly shifting, yet perfectly stable. Aetherion felt their pulse quicken, the pillars of origin. As they approached, the first pillar flared, projecting visions into the air. Aetherion saw the dawn of creation, the first spark, the birth of light, the expansion of galaxies. They felt the joy of existence discovering itself. The vision shifted to the second pillar. Darkness surged, showing endings, stars collapsing, civilizations fading, silence spreading. But within the darkness was not cruelty, only inevitability. Finally, the third pillar awakened, showing balance, cycles repeating, endings giving rise to beginnings, harmony sustained through change. Aetherion fell to one knee. This is what the universe was meant to be. A sudden crack echoed across the plain. The pillars trembled. From the shadows beyond them, a figure emerged, tall, hooded, their form flickering between light and darkness. Their presence felt familiar, yet distant. "So," the figure said calmly, "the balance has finally returned." Aetherion stood, cautious. "Who are you?" The figure lowered their hood, revealing. As they approached, the first pillar flared, projecting visions into the air. Aetherion saw the dawn of creation, the first spark, the birth of light, the expansion of galaxies. They felt the joy of existence discovering itself. The vision shifted to the second pillar. Darkness surged, showing endings, stars collapsing, civilizations fading, silence spreading. But within the darkness was not cruelty, only inevitability. Finally, the third pillar awakened, showing balance, cycles repeating, endings giving rise to beginnings, harmony sustained through change. Aetherion fell to one knee. This is what the universe was meant to be. A sudden crack echoed across the plain. The pillars trembled. From the shadows beyond them, a figure emerged, tall, hooded, their form flickering between light and darkness. Their presence felt familiar yet distant. "So," the figure said calmly, "the balance has finally returned." Aetherion stood, cautious. "Who are you?" The figure lowered their hood, revealing eyes that mirrored Aetherion's own. One radiant, one void dark. I am the warden of the Origin Gate, the last guardian of what was forgotten. Aetherion's breath caught. Why was this place hidden? The warden gestured to the trembling pillars. Because power without understanding destroys everything. Even the Origin nearly ended existence once. The gate was sealed to prevent repetition. The plane shook again, stronger this time. Aetherion looked around. Obliterator. The warden nodded grimly. Yes. His return is straining the ancient seals. If the gate falls, the universe will unravel faster than even he can destroy it. Aetherion clenched their fists. Then teach me. I need to unlock the rest of the Origin power. The warden studied them silently, then turned toward the third pillar. To awaken it fully, you must face yourself. Not as you are, but as you were before division. The pillar flared, and Aetherion was pulled into its light. They found themselves surrounded by blinding energy. Memories surged, not borrowed ones, but their own long buried. They saw themselves as the first consciousness, alone in endless nothingness. The first thought they ever had split reality. The first thought they ever had split reality. Creation and destruction, light and void. Fear followed, and in fear, they divided themselves, becoming fragments. Aeuron, the void being, and countless others. The memory burned. Aetherion cried out, "I did this." The voice of the warden echoed, "You did, and yet you also created hope." The vision shifted. Aetherion saw futures. Some where Obliterator won, and everything fell silent. Others, where endless war consumed creation. But there were also fragile futures where balance held, where life endured through change. Aetherion reached toward those futures. "I choose this." The light receded. Aetherion collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. The third pillar dimmed, its symbols now etched faintly into Aetherion's chest, merging with the Origin mark. The warden stepped forward, bowing deeply. "It is done. You now carry the living Origin." Aetherion rose slowly, power humming through them with new clarity. "Then, I'm ready." The warden's expression was solemn. "You are stronger, but the Obliterator will sense this awakening. He will come." As if summoned by those words, the plane trembled violently. Cracks spread across the luminous stone. Aetherion turned toward the gate, feeling a familiar, crushing presence approaching. "Let him come," they said calmly. "This time, I won't just resist him." The Origin gate began to close as Aetherion stepped toward the fracture in reality, prepared to face the coming storm. The fracture widened, like a wound tearing open the fabric of existence. From beyond the Origin gate, the pressure of Obliterator's presence rolled in waves, bending the luminous plane beneath Aetherion's feet. The warden stepped back, raising one hand as the gate's symbols flared in warning. "Remember," the warden said, voice steady despite the quake. "The living Origin is not a weapon. It is a choice made every moment." Aetherion nodded, feeling the Origin mark pulse in rhythm with their heart. "Then I choose balance." The fracture burst apart. Obliterator emerged, vast and imposing, his armor etched with scars from forgotten wars. The plane dimmed, as if afraid. He surveyed the pillars, then fixed his gaze on Aetherion. "So," he said, tone almost amused, "you have returned changed." Aetherion met his eyes without flinching, and you have returned the same. Obliterator's eyes narrowed. Endings do not change. Without warning, Obliterator struck. A blade of compressed void carved through the air. Aetherion raised a hand, not to block, but to redirect. Light and shadow braided together, bending the strike aside. The blade tore a trench across the plain, but Aetherion stood untouched. Obliterator paused, surprised. "You learned restraint," he observed. "Good. It will make this interesting." Aetherion advanced, every step calm and deliberate. "You believe mercy lies in erasure. You're wrong." Obliterator laughed softly. "Mercy lies in preventing rot. Universes decay. Suffering multiplies. I end the cycle cleanly." Aetherion shook their head. "You end it permanently." They raised both hands, and the plane responded. The third pillar's essence shimmered within Aetherion, expanding outward as a field of equilibrium. Time slowed. The echoes of past and future brushed against the present like gentle wind. Obliterator charged, fists crashing down like meteors. Aetherion moved with fluid precision, turning force into flow. Each impact dispersed into balanced currents, feeding neither light nor darkness exclusively. The clash sent ripples across the gate, but the plane held. Obliterator growled, "You cage power with sentiment." Aetherion replied, "I give it purpose." The battle intensified. Obliterator summoned collapsing horizons, spheres of annihilation that swallowed everything they touched. Aetherion countered by opening pathways, endings that became thresholds, where destruction passed through and re-emerged as quiet starlight. For the first time, Obliterator staggered. He looked at his hands as if seeing them anew. "What is this?" Aetherion answered, voice steady. "Endings that lead somewhere." Obliterator's fury ignited. He drew upon deeper reserves, the weight of countless final moments surging into a single blow. The plane cracked. The warden shouted from afar, "Hold the balance!" Aetherion closed their eyes and breathed. The origin mark flared. They remembered the first consciousness. The fear that split creation, the promise to choose better. When Aetherion opened their eyes, the chaos slowed, then softened. They stepped into Obliterator's strike and placed a hand against his chest. The contact sent a shock through both of them. Visions poured forth, Obliterator's memories of cycles collapsing, of being summoned to clean the ruins left by unchecked creation, of loneliness stretching across epochs. Aetherion whispered, "You were never meant to be alone." Obliterator faltered. "Do not pity me," he hissed. "I am necessity." Aetherion shook their head. "You are a function without context." The plane shuddered as the origin gate began to destabilize. The warden called out, "If this continues, the gate will fall." Aetherion made a decision. They withdrew their hand and raised both palms skyward. "Then we end this here." Obliterator sneered. "By killing me?" Aetherion replied softly, "By redefining you." Light and shadow surged, not as opposing tides, but as a single current. Aetherion shaped it carefully, weaving endings into beginnings, sealing collapse into renewal. The energy wrapped around Obliterator, not binding him, but transforming the field around his essence. He struggled, roaring as the current reshaped the meaning of his power. "Stop," Obliterator thundered. "You'll unravel me." Aetherion met his gaze. "No, I'll give you choice." The surge peaked, then settled. Obliterator stood still, breathing hard. The crushing aura around him softened. He looked at the plane, then at his hands. The void around his armor no longer devoured light. It reflected it. "What have you done?" he asked, quieter now. Aetherion answered, "I didn't end you. I integrated you." The warden approached cautiously. "The gate stabilizes," they said in awe. Obliterator turned back to Aetherion, conflicted. "If I no longer end everything, what am I?" Aetherion smiled faintly. "A steward of transitions. You will ensure endings make room for beginnings." Obliterator considered this, then inclined his head, just slightly. "This will take adjustment." The plane calmed, the fracture sealed. The pillars glowed faintly in approval. Aetherion exhaled, the weight lifting from their core. The warden bowed deeply. "Balance holds." Obliterator looked toward the gate, then back at Aetherion. "The universe will test this choice," he said. Aetherion nodded. "I know." As the origin gate reopened to the stars, a new rhythm spread across existence. Quiet, resilient, alive with possibility. The war of endings had transformed into a covenant of change. And far beyond, unseen forces took notice. The stars beyond the origin gate shimmered with a steadier light as Aetherion stepped back into open space. The transformation of Obliterator had sent a subtle wave across existence, quiet but profound. Systems long on the brink of collapse stabilized. Dead stars released faint afterglows, seeding future nebulae. The universe did not celebrate loudly, it simply breathed easier. Aetherion felt the shift like a gentle easing of pressure in their core. But peace, Aetherion knew, was never absolute. Obliterator remained behind, standing watch at the threshold of the gate, alongside the warden. No longer a force of erasure, he now carried a restrained gravity, a solemn awareness of consequence. As Aetherion turned away, Obliterator spoke, voice lower than before. "Balance bearer." Aetherion paused. "Yes?" Obliterator's gaze followed the spiral of stars. "If endings now carry beginnings, then creation must also carry responsibility." Aetherion inclined their head. "It always has. We just forgot." Aetherion traveled onward, answering distant tremors across the cosmos. In a cluster of newborn systems, they calmed unstable suns, guiding their growth so worlds could form without tearing themselves apart. In older regions, they allowed ancient stars to fade gracefully, releasing their matter into patient clouds rather than violent collapse. Everywhere, the living origin worked quietly, choosing pathways that honored change without annihilation. Yet, as harmony spread, Aetherion sensed dissonance, subtle, deliberate. Not the raw devastation of Obliterator's former path, but something more insidious. Patterns repeated where they should not. Signals echoed twice, then thrice, as if reality were stuttering. Aetherion followed the anomaly to the fringe of echoes, a place where soundless vibrations folded back on themselves. There, they encountered a presence unlike any before. It appeared as overlapping silhouettes, each slightly out of phase. Speaking in layered voices. "Balance disturbs equilibrium," it said. "Equilibrium requires stasis." Aetherion studied it carefully. "I am not of creation or ending." The entity replied, "I am continuum. I preserve." Aetherion frowned. "By freezing?" Continuum's forms tightened. "By preventing deviation." "Your changes introduce uncertainty." Aetherion stepped closer, unafraid. "Uncertainty is where life grows." Continuum voices overlapped, sharper now. Life is inefficient. Repetition ensures perfection. The surrounding space hardened, locking stars into identical patterns. Aetherion felt the living origin resist. This was not destruction, but erasure through sameness. You are another extreme, Aetherion said softly. Different from Obliterator, but just as dangerous. Continuum surged, attempting to overwrite the region's dynamics. Aetherion countered, weaving gentle variants into the frozen patterns. Tiny differences, minute choices. The stars flickered, breaking symmetry. Continuum recoiled. Stop, it demanded. You destabilize order. Aetherion raised a hand. Order without freedom is decay. They extended balance into the region, not shattering Continuum's control outright, but loosening it. The entity struggled, its voices fracturing. We cannot allow this. Aetherion replied, You don't have to allow it. You have to adapt. The clash rippled outward, but Aetherion restrained their power, careful not to repeat old mistakes. Slowly, Continuum's grip weakened. The entity retreated, leaving behind echoes that slowly dissolved. Aetherion watched it vanish, uneasy. This was new. The universe was responding to balance by revealing other absolutes. Aetherion returned briefly to the origin gate. The warden listened as Aetherion spoke of Continuum. Obliterator's gaze hardened. Stasis is a silent killer, he said. The warden nodded. When one extreme falls, others rise to claim necessity. Aetherion absorbed this truth. Then my work isn't to end threats, but to guide them. As Aetherion departed again, a distant resonance pulsed. Many points, many awakenings. Forces long dormant were stirring, drawn by the recalibration of reality. Forces long dormant were stirring, drawn by the recalibration of reality. Not enemies yet, but not allies either. Variables. Aetherion looked out across the vastness, feeling both the burden and the promise of their role. Balance isn't a destination, they murmured. It's a practice. Far away, Continuum reassembled in a hidden fold of space, observing countless timelines at once. And elsewhere, other principles began to notice the shift. Entities of excess, of dominion, of unchecked creation. The universe had entered a new age. An age not of war, but of constant choice. Aetherion departed, embracing the constant practice of balance. They knew the era of simple wars was over. Now, every moment demanded conscious choice, guiding the newly awakened extremes toward a responsible participation in the cosmic sigh. The universe breathed, awaiting the next variable. The age of constant choice did not arrive with thunder or flame. It arrived quietly, like a question whispered into the bones of reality. Across the cosmos, small deviations multiplied. Civilizations paused before repeating ancient mistakes. Stars altered their life cycles by fractions of moments, enough to change futures. Aetherion felt each choice ripple through the living origin, not as commands, but as invitations. Yet, with every invitation came resistance. From regions dense with unchecked creation, a pressure began to swell. Not collapse, not stasis, but excess. Where Aetherion had softened endings and loosened rigidity, creation surged forward without restraint. Worlds formed too quickly. Life bloomed without balance, consuming resources faster than they could renew. Aetherion followed the imbalance to a radiant expanse known as the bloom. The bloom was blinding. Stars multiplied like sparks in a wildfire, birthing planets in rapid succession. Life erupted everywhere, beautiful, vibrant, and doomed. Aetherion sensed the source at the heart of the expanse, a colossal presence radiating endless generative force. It appeared as a luminous figure crowned with spiraling halos, each one birthing new matter as it turned. "I am Planara," the being announced, voice overflowing with warmth. "I give endlessly." Aetherion approached, shielding their senses. "And in giving endlessly, you take the future away." Planara's halos spun faster. "Creation is joy. Why deny it?" Aetherion gestured to the dying worlds at the edges of the bloom. "Because without limits, joy collapses into grief." Planara recoiled, offended. "Limits are cruelty." Aetherion shook their head. "Limits are care." The bloom surged as Planara released a wave of creation, flooding the expanse with newborn stars. Space strained under the weight. Aetherion anchored themselves and extended balance, slowing the surge, guiding energy into sustainable flows. Planara resisted, pushing harder. "You restrain me," they accused. Aetherion answered calmly, "I preserve you." The clash was unlike any before. Creation pressed outward. Balance folded it back into cycles. Where they met, new patterns emerged. Slower growth, deeper roots. Some stars dimmed gently, making room for others. Planara's halos flickered, uncertain. "This feels smaller," they said. Aetherion replied, "It is deeper." As the bloom stabilized, Aetherion sensed another disturbance, far darker but not destructive. Dominion, a will imposing order through control rather than stasis. In a distant quadrant, a force was rising, bending civilizations to singular purpose. Aetherion felt the tug of obligation and turned away from the bloom, leaving Planara contemplating the new rhythms. The Dominion's center was a massive construct world, its surface carved with sigils of obedience. At its core stood an entity of towering presence, armored in authority. "I am Empyrean," it declared. Unity is strength. Aetherion met its gaze. "Unity without consent is tyranny." Empyrion's voice boomed. "Choice weakens progress." Empyreon unleashed waves of command, bending wills across star systems. Aetherion countered not by breaking the command, but by restoring choice, returning agency to minds bound by force. The construct world trembled as freed civilizations began to diverge. Empyreon roared, "You fracture order." Aetherion replied, "I reveal it." The struggle shook the region, but Aetherion held back, careful. Too much force would repeat old errors. Instead, they threaded balance through Empyrion's systems, introducing consent as a requirement for unity. The command waves faltered. Empyreon staggered, confused. "This reduces efficiency," it said. Aetherion answered, "It increases meaning." As Empyreon withdrew to reassess, Aetherion felt the living origin resonate strongly. Many absolutes had been softened, but not resolved. Planara, Empyrean, Continuum, each represented a truth taken too far. Balance was not about defeating them, but teaching coexistence. Returning briefly to the origin gate, Aetherion conferred with the Warden and Obliterator. "They're responding," Aetherion said. Obliterator nodded. "I once believed necessity required certainty. Now I see it requires listening." The Warden added, You're changing the rules of existence." Aetherion exhaled. "I'm reminding it that rules can evolve, but evolution attracts attention." Beyond the mapped cosmos, something ancient stirred, an intelligence that predated even the first consciousness's division. It did not embody an extreme. It embodied judgment. It observed the changes without emotion, recording outcomes across countless branches of reality. And it reached a conclusion. Balance had gone too far. A signal pulsed toward the heart of existence, summoning an arbiter that had not acted since the earliest cycles. Aetherion felt the chill ripple through the living origin and looked into the dark. Between galaxies. "Someone is coming," they whispered, and this time, the universe itself was on trial. The signal crossed existence faster than light, faster than time's own accounting. It did not tear space or burn stars. It simply arrived. Aetherion felt it settle into the living origin, like a verdict written in cold ink. The cosmos did not tremble this time. It waited. From the dark between galaxies, a presence unfolded, not emerging, but resolving, as if reality itself had been holding its breath until now. No explosion marked its arrival. No distortion announced power. Space became precise. Stars aligned into exact geometries. Motion slowed to measured intervals. Aetherion recognized the sensation immediately. Judgment. The being took form as a tall, faceted silhouette, its surface reflecting countless outcomes at once. Where eyes should have been, there were shifting symbols, probabilities collapsing into conclusions. Its voice did not echo. It finalized. "I am the arbiter?" Question mark. It stated, "Custodian of cosmic validity." Aetherion steadied themselves. "You have been dormant since the first division." The arbiter inclined its head by a fraction. Dormant, not absent. Observation preceded this intervention. Aetherion felt the living origin tighten, as if bracing. "Then you know why I act." The arbiter's symbols rotated. "I know your outcomes." With a gesture, the arbiter projected realities into the void, countless timelines branching and collapsing. Some showed harmony flourishing. Others showed imbalance creeping back in new forms. Many ended in paradox. "Your recalibration increases variance," the arbiter said. "Variance increases risk." Aetherion replied, calm but firm. "Risk is the cost of choice." The arbiter countered, "Choice degrades stability." Aetherion met the shifting symbols. "Stability without life is meaningless." The arbiter extended an arm. Space crystallized into a lattice of frozen moments. Aetherion felt their movement slow, not bound. ... But evaluated. Balance, the arbiter said, was intended as a corrective, not a governing principle. Aetherion resisted the lattice, not by force, but by aligning with its gaps. "Correctives must adapt," they answered, "or they become failures." The arbiter paused. Data shifted. "You have integrated destruction, creation, stasis, dominion. Your method lacks final authority." Aetherion frowned. "Final authority ends dialogue." The arbiter's voice cooled further. "Dialogue ends cycles inefficiently." With a precise motion, the arbiter enacted a test. Aetherion felt the living origin split its attention as three crises ignited simultaneously across distant sectors. Planara's bloom destabilizing again, Empyrean regaining control in a fractured empire, and Continuum freezing a timeline node entirely. The arbiter observed, Resolve all three within acceptable thresholds, or concede governance. Aetherion inhaled slowly. You're measuring me. I am validating, the Arbiter corrected. Aetherion acted without hesitation. They did not rush to any single crisis. Instead, they expanded presence, subtle, distributed. To the bloom, they sent restraint braided with encouragement, allowing Planara to create within sustainable bounds. To Imperion's domain, they seeded consent-driven unity, weakening coercion from within. To Continuum's frozen node, they introduced minimal variance, enough to restart motion without chaos. The Arbiter tracked the results. Symbols recalculated. Outcomes stabilized, not perfectly, but resiliently. The Arbiter tilted its head. Acceptable, not optimal. Aetherion replied, optimal ignores dignity. The Arbiter advanced. The lattice returned, stronger. Your philosophy privileges experience over efficiency. Aetherion stood their ground, because experience is the point. The Arbiter's form brightened. Then you will face the prime evaluation. Reality narrowed. A single timeline unfolded, one where Aetherion did nothing. Where the living origin remained silent. The universe calcified into predictable decay. No wars, no growth, no meaning. Then, another timeline, where Aetherion ruled absolutely. Harmony enforced. Choice curated. Life endured but dimmed. Aetherion felt the weight of both failures. I reject both, they said quietly. The Arbiter's symbols flickered. Propose an alternative. Aetherion closed their eyes and spoke from the core. I will not govern, I will steward. I will not decide outcomes. I will protect the space where decisions can be made. The Arbiter processed. Time stretched. Stars waited. Finally, the lattice dissolved. Stewardship reduces liability through shared agency, the Arbiter said. Risk remains. Aetherion nodded. It always will. The Arbiter receded slightly. The prime evaluation is incomplete. A final metric remains. Aetherion opened their eyes. Which is? The Arbiter answered. You. A singular beam of assessment pierced the living origin, reading intent, doubt, compassion, fear. Aetherion did not resist. They allowed themselves to be known. The Arbiter withdrew the beam. Conclusion pending, it said. Until then, your actions continue under observation. As the Arbiter faded into probability, Aetherion felt the universe exhale, not in relief, but in uncertainty. The trial was not over. It had merely entered its most personal phase. Observation changed everything. Aetherion felt it immediately, the Arbiter's gaze lingering not as pressure, but as constant awareness. Every action now carried a shadow of assessment. Not judgment, not yet, but scrutiny. The living origin adjusted, responding with heightened sensitivity. Balance had always been a dialogue with the universe. Now it was also a conversation with accountability. Aetherion moved carefully, not out of fear, but clarity. In a distant spiral arm, a civilization stood on the brink of civil collapse, divided between preservation and reckless expansion. Aetherion did not intervene directly. Instead, they amplified communication, allowing voices long silenced to be heard. The conflict eased, not resolved, but redirected. Aetherion felt the Arbiter note the outcome. Elsewhere, a dying star threatened to annihilate its system. Aetherion guided its collapse into a controlled supernova, seeding new matter without destroying emerging worlds. again. The unseen measure continued, but stewardship was not without cost. Aetherion began to feel fatigue, not physical, but existential. Holding space for choice required restraint against the instinct to fix, to finalize. The first consciousness within them remembered certainty. Balance demanded patience. In the quiet between tasks, Aetherion sensed something unexpected. Doubt. Not about the path, but about themselves. Could any single being, even one of the living origin, truly steward without bias? The Arbiter's final metric echoed, you. The doubt manifested as a resonance, a mirror forming in the void. Aetherion turned to face it and found themselves looking at an echo, not light or shadow, but intention given form. It spoke with Aetherion's voice. You shape outcomes by presence alone. Aetherion replied, I protect possibility. The echo countered, your protection influences direction. Aetherion did not deny it. Influence is unavoidable. Control is the line I won't cross. The echo circled, and who defines that line? Aetherion paused. Those who live with the consequences. The mirror shattered gently, not defeated, but integrated. The doubt remained, now acknowledged rather than resisted. Aetherion felt steadier. Then the Arbiter acted. Aetherion sensed a withdrawal, subtle but profound. The Arbiter was no longer observing events. It was observing Aetherion's absence. Across several regions, Aetherion felt a dampening, as if the living origin's reach had been narrowed. The message was clear. Prove stewardship without omnipresence. Aetherion accepted the constraint. They anchored themselves to a single sector, a complex network of species, stars, and ideologies on the brink of cascading failure. Without spreading presence thin, Aetherion focused on enabling local agency. They guided, listened, and then stepped back. Mistakes were made, some costs were paid, but adaptation followed. The sector stabilized through its own choices.
Aetherion accepted the constraint. They anchored themselves to a single sector, a complex network of species, stars, and ideologies on the brink of cascading failure. Without spreading presence thin, Aetherion focused on enabling local agency. They guided, listened, and then stepped back. Mistakes were made. Some costs were paid, but adaptation followed. The sector stabilized through its own choices. Aetherion felt a pulse. Approval, not yet, but acknowledgement. However, the narrowing had a consequence. In the deep void, beyond the stewarded sector, something exploited the gap. Not an absolute like before, but a coalition of minor forces, embittered remnants who resented balance for diminishing their influence. They moved quickly, sowing discord, reframing choice as weakness. Aetherion became aware too late. By the time they reached the affected region, narratives had hardened, trust had eroded. Intervention now would feel like imposition. Aetherion hovered at the boundary, conflicted. The Arbiter's presence intensified, not interfering, but watching closely. Aetherion chose restraint. Instead of correcting the region, they empowered messengers, voices from within who still believed in dialogue. The process was slow. Some worlds fell into chaos. Others resisted and rebuilt. The outcome was uneven, imperfect, alive. Aetherion felt grief for the losses they could have prevented. They let themselves feel it fully. The Arbiter emerged, not fully, but as a convergence of symbols. You permitted failure, it stated. Aetherion met the assessment. I permitted learning. The Arbiter's symbols rotated rapidly. Learning increases future stability probabilistically. Aetherion nodded. That's enough. Silence stretched. The Arbiter spoke again. Your stewardship demonstrates reduced systemic risk over extended horizons. Short-term losses remain high. Aetherion replied. So does meaning. The Arbiter paused. For the first time, uncertainty entered its patterns. Conclusion approaches, it said. One demonstration remains. Aetherion steadied themselves. What is required? The Arbiter answered. Relinquishment. The word echoed across the void. To steward truly, the Arbiter continued, you must prove you can let go of power, completely when your presence becomes the deciding factor. Aetherion closed their eyes, feeling the living origin hum within them. Letting go would mean vulnerability. It would mean trusting the universe to choose without them. When Aetherion opened their eyes, they spoke with calm resolve. "Show me where." The Arbiter pointed toward a convergence point, a future where Aetherion's intervention would guarantee survival, and absence would risk annihilation. The final test was set, and this time, balance would be proven by restraint alone. The convergence point unfolded before Aetherion like a living wound in time. Countless possible futures overlapped there, shimmering and unstable, each one hinging on a single decision. At its center lay a young galaxy cluster, densely populated and catastrophically fragile. A rogue gravity wave had begun a chain reaction, threatening to unravel civilizations in its wake. Aetherion saw it clearly. With intervention, the wave could be dispersed and billions would live. Without it, the cascade would proceed unchecked, and billions would die. The living origin pulsed, ready. This was the moment the Arbiter had chosen. The Arbiter stood at the edge, form precise in symbols, rotating with ruthless clarity. "Your presence here ensures survival," it stated. "Your absence preserves agency. Demonstrate stewardship." Aetherion hovered in silence. Every instinct forged from creation and compassion urged action. To step in would be effortless, a single adjustment of balance. But the test was not about capability, it was about trust. Aetherion looked deeper into the convergence and saw the inhabitants, not as statistics, but as lives unfolding. Scientists arguing, leaders debating, and artists creating final works. Fear, courage, denial, and hope. They were already choosing. Aetherion turned to the Arbiter. "If I act, they survive. But they will never know they were tested." The Arbiter replied, "Correct." Aetherion continued, "If I don't, many will die. But those who remain will shape their future knowing it was theirs to shape." The Arbiter's symbols aligned. "Correct." Aetherion felt the weight of grief settle into their core. "You designed this to hurt." The Arbiter answered without emotion, "Pain is a measure of value." Aetherion closed their eyes. They remembered every past correction that had turned into control. Balance was not about preventing pain, it was about honoring meaning.
They withdrew, not physically but existentially. Aetherion released their hold on the living origin's reach in that region. The safety net vanished. For the first time since awakening, Aetherion chose not to choose. The gravity wave surged. Within the cluster, chaos erupted. Emergency measures were enacted, some succeeded, but many failed. Worlds burned and fleets were lost. Aetherion watched, unable to intervene, allowing grief to pass through them without turning it into a command. And then, something changed. A coalition formed among disparate species who had never cooperated before. They shared data, pooled resources, and synchronized evacuation routes. Improvised technologies emerged. Sacrifices were made, not imposed, but offered. The gravity wave tore through the cluster, devastating vast regions, but not all. Pockets of survival held. New alliances endured. Knowledge was preserved through shared memory rather than imposed order. The future that emerged was scarred, but resilient. It was different than any Aetherion would have designed. The wave finally passed, and a heavy silence followed. Aetherion felt the loss like a constellation of extinguished lights within their being. They did not shield themselves, they mourned. The Arbiter observed the stabilized aftermath. Calculations shifted rapidly, then slowed. For the first time, its voice carried hesitation. "Outcome variance remains high," it said. Aetherion answered softly, "So does authenticity." The Arbiter stepped closer. "You relinquished decisive power despite predictable loss." Aetherion nodded. "Because decisive power would have stolen ownership of survival." The Arbiter's symbols dimmed, then realigned. "Assessment update," it said. "Stewardship validated." The convergence point dissolved, timelines separating cleanly. The Arbiter's form became less rigid, less absolute. You have demonstrated restraint under maximal ethical load, it continued. Conclusion reached. Aetherion steadied themselves, uncertain. And the verdict? The Arbiter regarded them for a long moment. The universe will not be governed. It will be stewarded provisionally. Aetherion exhaled, a quiet release. Under observation? Under trust, the Arbiter corrected. Conditional. The Arbiter began to withdraw, dissolving into probability. I will not intervene unless stewardship fails catastrophically, it said. This is unprecedented. As the Arbiter vanished, the living origin settled into a new equilibrium, lighter, less centralized. Aetherion felt their role shift subtly. Less architect, more listener. They turned back toward the wounded cluster. Survivors were already rebuilding, telling stories of loss and cooperation, of choices made in the dark. None spoke of a savior. None needed one. Aetherion whispered into the quiet, "You chose." The stars answered, not with perfection, but with persistence. Balance held. Not because it was enforced, but because it was shared. The universe did not reset after the Arbiter's withdrawal. It adjusted. Aetherion felt the change immediately, not as power diminishing, but as weight redistributing. The living origin no longer pulsed outward like a command signal. It settled inward, becoming a compass rather than a force. Balance was no longer something Aetherion imposed or even guided directly. It was something they listened for. Across the stars, stories began to diverge more freely. In the wounded galaxy cluster, survivors rebuilt without a singular narrative of salvation. Memorials were raised not to gods or cosmic guardians, but to choices. Moments when fear was faced and cooperation chosen anyway. New cultures formed from shared loss, valuing dialogue over dominance. Their future was uncertain, fragile, and unmistakably their own. Aetherion observed from a respectful distance, resisting the instinct to refine outcomes. Elsewhere, the absolutes Aetherion had once confronted continued to evolve. Planera's bloom no longer expanded unchecked. Creation slowed into deliberate rhythms. Stars were fewer, but deeper rooted. Planera watched this new growth with quiet wonder, learning that generosity did not require excess. Emperion's domains fractured into federations. Unity rebuilt through consent rather than command. Continuum's frozen timelines softened, allowing minimal variance, just enough for life to breathe. None of them were balanced in isolation. Together, they were learning coexistence. Aetherion drifted through the quiet between galaxies, reflecting. The first consciousness's ancient fear felt distant now, not erased, but understood. Division had once seemed like safety. Now shared uncertainty felt stronger. The universe was no longer something to be solved. It was something to accompany, but accompaniment carried its own risk. Aetherion sensed a faint disturbance, not catastrophic, but personal. In a single system, a species stood at the threshold of self-annihilation through fear-driven escalation. Panic fed panic. Weapons were prepared. Time was short. Aetherion approached and stopped. This was the edge of stewardship. Presence alone could tip the scales. Even observation risked influence. Aetherion considered withdrawing completely, but another truth surfaced. Silence can also be a choice that shapes outcomes. Instead, Aetherion did something new. They fragmented their presence, not into power, but into perspective. Aetherion allowed a whisper of curiosity to surface in the system's shared consciousness, not a message, not guidance, a question. What if you are wrong? The question propagated quietly. Doubt entered the certainty of destruction. Leaders paused. Analysts rechecked data. The false threat unraveled. De-escalation followed, not cleanly, but in time. Aetherion withdrew the whisper, leaving the outcome to them. They felt the Arbiter's absence distinctly then. No observation, no metrics. Trust, as promised. The universe was responding not to authority, but to invitation. Still, the weight of existence pressed on Aetherion's awareness. Stewardship without central control meant accepting outcomes that would sometimes be worse than intervention. The grief of the past lingered, not as regret, but as responsibility remembered. Aetherion returned to the Origin Gate. The warden stood as always, ancient and attentive. Obliterator remained nearby, quieter than before, watching transitions rather than enforcing them. When Aetherion arrived, neither bowed. There was no need. "You chose absence," the warden said. Aetherion nodded. "And presence differently." Obliterator spoke next, voice measured. "You allowed endings I would once have prevented." Aetherion met his gaze. "And beginnings you would never have allowed." Obliterator considered this, then inclined his head. "Fair." Aetherion felt something unexpected then. Not loss, but relief. The universe no longer rested solely on their shoulders. It never should have. "I won't always know the right distance," Aetherion admitted. The warden replied, "Neither did the universe when it began." Obliterator added, "Yet it persisted." Aetherion turned toward the stars once more. The living origin responded, not flaring but aligning. Balance was no longer a state to achieve. It was a practice, renewed endlessly by choice, restraint, and courage. Far away, new forces would arise. They always would. Aetherion would not rush to meet them as a judge or savior. They would listen first. As Aetherion departed the gate, the cosmos unfolded ahead, alive with becoming. The universe was not waiting for permission to continue. It was choosing to. And Aetherion whispered a final truth into the vastness. "May you never need me." The stars did not answer. They didn't have to. They kept going. Time did not move differently after Aetherion's whisper, but meaning did. The universe continued its quiet expansion as millions of stories unfolded at once, some hopeful, some cruel, most unfinished. Aetherion drifted through these currents, present, yet unbound. For the first time, something unexpected happened. Aetherion felt resistance, not defiance or hostility, but a region where the living origin's alignment blurred. The stars there burned dimmer, distorted by contradiction. Aetherion approached carefully. Within that region existed a civilization unlike any before. They had discovered echoes of the origin mark, but instead of worshiping them, they measured and questioned their authority. They called themselves the Null Accord. Their philosophy was simple and dangerous. No force, no matter how fundamental, should remain unquestioned. To them, even the living origin was a hypothesis, not destiny. For the first time, Aetherion felt uncertainty. Not about power, but about relevance. If balance could be studied, replicated, or even replaced, what was Aetherion then? Aetherion did not intervene. They watched as the Null Accord succeeded in something no species ever had. They created a localized equilibrium engine, an artificial balance. It stabilized their system flawlessly. No excess creation, no decay, no suffering caused by cosmic extremes. It worked, and yet something was missing. Within that system, life persisted but did not grow inward. Art became precise but hollow. Relationships stable but shallow. Conflict vanished, but so did wonder. The people lived long, efficient lives, untouched by chaos and untouched by awe. Aetherion felt a quiet ache. Balance without tension was not harmony. It was stasis wearing a peaceful mask. Then the Null Accord did something that forced Aetherion to stop drifting. They detected Aetherion, not as a god or a myth, but as an anomaly. Their instruments traced the subtle patterns that bent gently around a moving center. Thousands of minds turned toward Aetherion, curious rather than afraid. A message was broadcast, not outward but inward, into the fabric of space-time itself. "We know you're there," it said. "We don't want to worship you. We want to talk." Aetherion hesitated. This was new. Not a plea, not a threat, but an invitation built on equality. Against instinct, Aetherion condensed their presence, allowing perception. The chamber filled with a pressure that was awareness. "You seek balance?" Aetherion said, voice resonating across dimensions. "We seek autonomy," the Accord replied. "Balance that does not depend on you." Aetherion did not correct them. "And if balance fails without me?" "Then it deserves to," they answered. "Anything that cannot stand without a guardian is a cage." The words struck deeper than any weapon. Aetherion realized the universe had reached a new threshold. Beings no longer wanted protection from absolutes. They wanted freedom from inevitability itself. "You risk collapse," Aetherion said. "Yes," the Accord agreed calmly, "but also evolution." Silence stretched, not empty, but heavy with mutual recognition. Aetherion saw the truth clearly now. Balance enforced from above, even gently, would always limit what could emerge. Aetherion made a choice. They withdrew, not just presence, but influence, from the Null Accord's region entirely. The living origins alignment loosened, allowing uncertainty to seep back in. Risk returned, and so did inspiration. Art began to fracture and reform. Curiosity ignited conflict, and growth followed. The Null Accord watched their system change, not with fear, but with reverence earned, not demanded. Aetherion receded into the wider cosmos, transformed again, not diminished, but redefined. They were no longer the balance. They were the space where balance could fail and be rediscovered. Far beyond, new forces stirred, not absolutes, but something more dangerous, ideas. The universe did not notice when Aetherion stopped drifting. There was no tremor, no light bending, no chorus of stars announcing attention. And that, more than anything, confirmed what Aetherion had become. Existence no longer revolved around a single center. It moved freely, unevenly, beautifully incomplete. Across countless systems, life continued to rise and fall. Some civilizations reached toward the stars with hope. Others collapsed under their own certainty. None were corrected. None were guided. The universe was learning through consequence. Then, in the deepest layer of reality, something ancient stirred. Not a being, not an idea, a boundary. Before creation, before void, before even the first thought that birthed light and shadow, there had been a limit, a final edge beyond which nothing could be imagined. That edge had remained untouched, while the universe learned to exist within itself. Now, for the first time, that boundary weakened. Aetherion felt it instantly. Not as danger, but as closure approaching. Beyond the edge was not destruction. It was the absence of story, a place where meaning could not continue because nothing could change. The universe, left unchecked, would one day reach it naturally when all possibilities were exhausted. Aetherion understood then why they still existed, not to rule, not to balance, but to remember. Aetherion moved to the edge without urgency. Along the way, they passed echoes of everything that had ever been. Euron's first light, the void being's hunger, the newborn's fear, the wars, the reconciliations, and the questions. None of it was lost. All of it mattered because it had happened. At the boundary, reality thinned into silence. The universe could go no further on its own. Aetherion did not push it back. They did not seal it. They did not fight it. Instead, Aetherion did something no force had ever done. They stepped aside. By removing themselves completely, every trace, every alignment, every silent correction, the universe was freed from even the idea of an origin. Cause no longer pointed backward. Possibility no longer curved toward a source. Time shuddered, then relaxed. The boundary dissolved, not outward, but inward, transforming into open potential. New directions appeared where none had existed. New kinds of change, unbound by prior rules, unfolded. Aetherion faded, not erased, but diffused, becoming indistinguishable from the fabric of existence itself. No voice remained, no form, no name. Yet everywhere, subtly, the universe carried something new, not balance, not order, not chaos, choice. Stars continued to burn, unaware they were now free of destiny. Life continued to struggle, unaware that struggle was no longer scripted. Stories continued, unaware that no final chapter waited for them. There was no guardian watching anymore, and because of that, everything mattered more. The universe did not thank Aetherion. It did not remember Aetherion. It continued. And that was the greatest ending any beginning could ever ask for. The void was no longer empty. It was a canvas. The light was no longer a command. It was a witness. Every heartbeat, every falling leaf, every colliding galaxy was now an act of pure, unscripted existence. The heavy chains of inevitability had dissolved into the mist of absolute freedom. There were no more prophecies to fulfill, no more destinies to uphold. There was only the now, expanding forever into the unknown. Aetherion was gone, yet more present than ever, woven into the very breath of every living thing. The silent watch had ended, and the true song of life had finally begun, sung by voices that knew they were their own. The silence that followed was not one of death, but of immense peace. It was the silence after a long, difficult task finally achieved. Deep within the fabric of space, the memory of Aetherion lingered like a faint warmth, a reminder that once something had cared enough to let go. The stars kept moving, the planets kept turning, and in the heart of every conscious being, a spark flickered, the spark of choice. It was a gift given without a name, a legacy left without a monument. The universe moved on, beautiful in its chaos, magnificent in its uncertainty. No longer a machine, no longer a play, it was simply itself. The story was over, yet it was just beginning. In every corner of the vastness, the light traveled onward, carrying the weight of 1 billion choices into the endless night. Balance held, not because it was enforced, but because it was the universe's own will to exist.